There we go.
Hey, how you doing, Payton? Can you hear me okay?
Good. How are you?
Good.
There it is. I was like, what in the heck?
All right. Okay. Cool. We're a little early here, so do whatever you need. Take your time.
No, you're good. I'm all ready.
Okay. How you doing, Payton? Thanks for joining today, and thanks for having your people reach out. It means a lot.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
So, how's your morning been? I know you're in Nashville right now.
No, I'm in Texas right now.
What time is it? Is it Central Time over there as well? So it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's Central Time.
What is kind of like your morning like when you're getting ready to do these things?
My morning's like, I always got to start it off with coffee. Like I can't do anything without it. I know that sounds like everybody says that, but I'm like whole nother level. I will absolutely not function without it.
Yeah, but how I'm gonna ask this question before I say this. Kind of how long have you been drinking coffee? Has it been like your whole life?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So do you think the coffee is part of the mental game, or do you think it's because now Malcolm Gladwell will say that dedication, sleep, and coffee are the three things that kind of the mind needs. Like you don't necessarily need the coffee. It's just like this routine of, man, I've drank coffee since I was 6. So I have to have it. If not, because it's like an addiction. It's like cigarettes.
Right. I think for me, like, and sometimes I forget. Sometimes I'll be so busy, I'll forget to drink coffee. But then, like, I get a caffeine headache. So I know it's not just me. I know it's not just the habit. I know my body's definitely addicted to the caffeine.
Well, it's the caffeine. It's not necessarily the coffee. So you could take the coffee and you could put in with like, I don't know, a Diet Coke or something. You could split the caffeine either way. I think it's the caffeine you're more addicted to than the coffee.
I've done that too. I drink a lot of energy drinks.
Now that's not good at all.
No, I know.
I had a guy on and he had a heart attack. He drank like 15 Red Bulls, like back to back to back. And he was like he had like this massive heart attack. His heart was popping out of his chest. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how some people do that at all.
Yeah. So when we're really just chit-chatting right now. We're not really jumping into the meat of the podcast yet, Payton. But I'm just curious when somebody, tells you, like they're addicted to something, kind of what's your reaction to it? Like when you said, oh, I gotta have my coffee, I'm addicted to coffee. Kind of what's your reaction and mindset when someone says, oh, they're addicted to such and such?
Well, I guess it really depends on what it is, honestly.
Well, I'm not talking no hard shit. I'm not talking heroin or nothing. just in general.
Okay.
So like someone is addicted, let's say, you said coffee. You can't really have the same mindset with coffee or caffeine. Let's say someone is addicted to, I don't know, binge watching. Shit, let's make it simple. If someone's addicted to watching binge watching or anything along those lines like that, kind of what's your thought process of, are you kind of the same way or kind of, I know it's confusing. I know it's confusing as hell. I'm being confusing right now.
I honestly, I wouldn't say that I think anything of it. Like, I'm never going to be somebody to judge anybody. And especially if it's something like binge watching where it's not chemically addictive. Like, there's nothing actually addictive about binge watching other than the fact that if you really like to and you have no self-control, I guess, hey, then that's that. But it's like, hey, we've all been there binge watching a series or whatever. But I'm never gonna be one to judge anybody.
What's the last thing you binge watched?
Oh, it's been a while. I usually don't have a lot of time to watch stuff on like Netflix, but I'd say the last thing I binge watched, it might have been season 2 of Outer Banks.
I'm watching for the third or fourth time. I restarted Breaking Bad. And let me
Oh
tell you
yeah.
something, that show, it still holds up to be one of the greatest shows to ever be created in the history of television shows, I think.
I've never seen it.
You have never seen Breaking Bad. Oh man.
No, I've never seen it.
That's something you, I mean, it's a little dark at times, but like it's one of those where it's 5 seasons, like 50 episodes, it's done. They knew where they wanted to start, where they wanted to end up. It's not one of those that goes 18 seasons with 700 episodes where you're just like, oh, you have to watch that show. Like it's, it's one of those that's kind of over and done with.
Really? I know. I'll have to check it out. I've never seen it.
What do you do? Like, how are you with, like if someone comes up to you and they're like, they're very stern and they're kind of being like a prick, kind of, how do you deal with the pressure? Because for me, doing the podcast, you kind of have to set a boundary for yourself. You kind of have to say, look, this is my show. I'm doing the stuff I want to do. What I'm going to control it. Kind of, how do you take that and like shows, like kind of, obviously you're dealing with a bunch of drunk jerks a lot of the times, but like if someone just comes up to you afterwards, like kind of how do you deal with the confrontation of it?
Honestly, I'm not a very confrontational person, and sometimes I just like it. Honestly doesn't bother me. I just kind of shake it off, and most of the time drunk people are fun. So like, I mean, I'm always kind of down to like, when if you're playing a show and some people are like getting, a little crazy and stuff like that, it's always kind of fun to just have fun with them, and you're just the soundtrack to their fun. So I find it, I don't mind it that much. I know sometimes people can be rude, and when they are, honestly, it doesn't bother me, because anyone that's going to take the time to be rude to someone like me or you that's just minding their own business, living their life, just trying to do something they enjoy, or pursue a dream, like if you're going to take time out of your day to be rude to somebody else like that, like you probably like feel really insignificant anyway. So I wouldn't ever be mean back, just whatever, shake it off kind of thing.
Let me tell you what happened to me today. You said you're not confrontational. I'm not either, until it comes to like certain things. Like, you know what I mean? Like if something's not going to bother me, I'm not going to, hey, you're doing something wrong. But on the side, I kind of like go to yard sales and all this stuff, and I kind of like sell it online and do stuff like that, right? Kind of have a business doing that. And I went to one this morning, like 30 minutes before we jumped on, right by the house. I found all this. I mean, they had some great stuff. There was like Vera Bradley purses that were like marked for like $5. And I was like, I know these things are like $100 anywhere else. We could take this and, we could flip it and sell it for, I pay 10, sell it for 30, whatever. These people, man, yard sales are the worst to go to when it's in a designated area, because these people, like when I go to a yard sale, I expect to pay $1 here, $2 there, cheap off-end stuff, because you're basically yard sale, you're just trying to get rid of stuff pretty much. You're not ready to make a dime. Sure, you want to, but you're just clearing out the house. But I had these ladies today. They were so adamant. They were like, it was like $21. And I said, hey, you take all this for $20. I don't carry cash that often. And of course, the ATM's not going to give you $1 bill. So you take 20 for all this stuff. And they go, I'm not going down on none of my prices. And I go, well, that's fine. But look, I don't have $1 bill. And I was like, can you break another 20? She goes, I can't break any change. So I had to end up going all the way from that yard sale, all the way to the gas station to break another 20 to get $1 bill. It was crazy, because it's, but I say that all to say, I respect that, but I also feel disrespected at the same time, because it's like, look, I'm here doing your dirty bidding, and look at how you're treating somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So do you have
That
anything?
sounds crazy.
Do you have anything you do? Like, I say all of that just to say, do you do anything like on the side, like to make extra cash?
No, I usually just I'm full force into my music, and working real hard at it. I just finished college though, all my online classes. So I'm getting my degree in May. So I was kind of like a full-time college student. I don't know if I call that on the side, but I just finished that. So I'm getting my degree in May. And yeah, I'm pretty much just in music full time and just doing that and touring. And I'm like, I honestly like sometimes I think about, oh, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that or whatever. Just because I think it'd be fun to even pick up like a side hobby, but I'm so busy I never have time, honestly.
You have a degree in, are you getting a degree in music?
No, my degree's in communication and marketing.
Okay. I can see how that would be very helpful in like an artist's perspective, because you're going to have an insight of both ways.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly. And I feel like at that point, I had been playing music for not so long because I hadn't been playing for so long. But I mean, like at that point, I was so far into what I was doing musically that it didn't really make sense for me to stop and then relearn everything about music. And because I mean, I was self-taught. So, and I was already like playing shows and writing music and recording, and I was self-taught. So I feel like it would be beneficial to learn, how to read music and all that stuff. And I've learned the number system and all that. So I feel like at a certain point, maybe it'd be good to go back and try and take some courses on music theory. But that's why I chose to do that over get my degree in music.
Explain being self-taught, because that can mean a whole bunch of different things. How are you self-taught?
Like guitar and like I took piano lessons when I was real young. My mom had my brother and I take piano lessons, and I was always like super stubborn. Like she'd be trying to get me to read the music, and I never wanted to do that. I was just learning and playing by ear. And so then after a while, I stopped playing piano for a little bit, and I would just kind of play on my own, just by ear and stuff. And then when I was about 15, 16 years old, I picked up a guitar and I started teaching myself to play guitar. And just by learning on YouTube or seeing other people play and just listening for how it sounds, just from listening to records and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what I mean by self-taught, is I didn't have like a teacher until I was learning to play other stuff. And then I was like trying to get someone to help me out. But other than that, pretty self-taught.
So do you still play by ear now, or can you read some notes, a little bit of notes?
Honestly, I've had some people try to teach me how to read music, and I can do a little bit of it just by what I've learned so far. But mainly I just kind of play by ear and knowing what chords. Like if I hear someone playing something, I'm just trying to hear what they're playing or just watch their hands and play that. And so that's kind of, and I mean, I played probably like, I'd say somewhere between 20 to 30 shows, 20 to 25 shows a month. So I play a lot. And so I just try to just play by ear, and I think a lot of musicians nowadays like play by ear because, like when you go out to Nashville and stuff like that, everyone's going by the number system. So as long as I feel like if you know the number system, you're almost pretty much set.
Now, how does one that just basically say you can't read sheet music, right? Let's just say that you can't read sheet music, you play by ear. How does one that can't read sheet music and play by ear write a song by themselves? And then like, because you know what I'm saying? Like, do you just have this thing in your head where you're like, okay, this sound ba da 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 is going to go with these lyrics, la la la. If that makes any sense.
Honestly, I feel like personally, I guess I can't speak for anybody else because I have friends that don't play any instruments that are writing music on their own, and it's like I'm never going to question that because I've always played an instrument since I've been writing songs, if that makes sense. So I've never had to write a song without knowing how to play an instrument. But I would definitely say when I'm writing a song, I know that there's certain chord progressions, and I know a little bit of music theory. I'm not like completely have no idea what I'm talking about, but I know a little bit. And I know like there's certain chords that sound good together. And if you're playing in a certain key, like key of G or key of D or whatever, there's certain chords in that that make up a progression that sound good together. Or sometimes I'll hear like a certain sound and I'll like, maybe what that progression sounds like, and I might change the key of it or whatever. Or, I might have a melody in my head and I might try to play along with the melody that I'm hearing in my head. Just kind of comes out.
That's very interesting, because I love seeing, kind of the point of this podcast is to see behind the scenes of the music, kind of how stuff works, because me being the giant music nerd, I pretty much know, I don't know everything, but I know a good bit of how, everything works. But when you're in there writing a song, kind of, and I know this, you're probably going to get this question every time. It's probably a tough question to ask, but it's going to lead to a next one, which would be, what comes first, the lyrics or the melody that you have in your head? Which it probably differs every time you sit down to write, but kind of what's the percentage overtake of it?
Honestly, I would say it's about 50-50, because a lot of the time, it really depends on if you're writing by yourself or if you're writing with somebody else. Like, there's been co-writes where we have like a hook, or somebody brings in a really good idea. But I will say one of my favorite songs off my last release, Youngblood, the EP, one of my favorite songs off the EP was written actually, like, I had a chord progression that I was like, I love this. Like, I want to write something to this chord progression. And then I went back in my notes and I had this other idea and I was like, let's write that to this chord progression that I love. And it was just kind of like the chord progression actually came first for that song. Um, but other than that, like, I think probably the majority of the time it ends up being the words or the hook, the lyrics. And then that's mainly because if you take like a certain, like, for example, my song Freedom, it was a very patriotic, like, anthem sounding song. And so for that, we chose a very freedom sounding progression. And it's kind of one of those things where, like, you hear that progression, even if there's no words, you could just feel it, like driving down the street with your windows down, and like you can just kind of feel that vibe even without the lyrics. So I think it kind of differs and depends on what you're writing about and what you're writing for.
So I want to talk about Jail and Jesus for a second, and I'll play the song in a minute. But when Jail and Jesus, what was when the idea was on the napkin, kind of how did that branch into this song?
Well, Jail and Jesus is a really personal song, and I co-wrote this song with Eric Halbig and Michael Austin out in Nashville, Tennessee. And I came to them with this idea that I had because I had read this book, and it was written by Greg Laurie. And in the book, he interviewed Johnny Cash, and Johnny Cash said something like, living my life, I've gone from jail to Jesus. And I have always had like a rebel streak in me. So I've always kind of questioned, hey, like, why am I like this? Why has it got to be this way? Um, and so when I heard that, it really struck a chord in me, and it kind of just like, that's it, like, that's it. So when I just kind of wrote it down and I just kind of kept it with me. I was like, I want to write on this, and after like kind of thinking on that concept of, going from jail to Jesus, if you really think about it, no matter how good a person is, everyone's capable of doing things that are horrible and irreversible. And no matter how good a person can be, everyone has to pay the price for what they've done. And that's kind of something I realized after hearing that jail to Jesus phrase. And so then that's kind of how it was born, just kind of writing stories from my life or people that I know, their lives as well. So that's kind of how it came to be.
Man, Greg Laurie is a different type of author that you don't expect to, you know what I mean? Like when you pick up to read a Greg Laurie book, you don't expect the impact that it's going to hit you with when it hits you.
Right.
So what book was this you're talking about? They interviewed Johnny Cash.
Was that? I couldn't hear you.
The book that you're talking about that inspired the song, what book was that, in case people want to go read it?
Oh, it's called Cash.
Okay, got you. The biography.
Yeah. I think it's literally just called Cash.
Okay. Have you been out to, I don't know if you have, Diaz, Arkansas, kind of where Johnny Cash was born? There is this.
I've not, no.
Let me tell you, Payton, this is this kind of, because Johnny Cash is one of my all-time favorites. His story is like unbelievable. Like, you can't, it's people just they'll go, oh yeah, I saw the movie with Joaquin Phoenix. I'm like, that movie was fucking fake. Okay, that was Hollywood taking it over. There was his life was not like that. But I went over to Diaz, Arkansas, and it was crazy. They had this museum, and they have the pillow that Johnny Cash slept with in his bed till the day he died of his brother's pillow, Jack. And you see the blood stains all over the pillow, and it's crazy. And then they'd have a bus, and the bus takes you over to the actual house where the Cash family grew up. And it's like they have the original bed sheets, the original panel of the bed. It's one of those things where you walk in and you're like, this is going to be cool, but you come out feeling emotional and something washed over you, and you're like, I don't know what that was, but it was like an amazing feeling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. I get that.
So I'm going to play.
I would love to do that. That sounds cool.
It's cool, but it's also one of those where you have to be really into music, history, or just general Johnny Cash in order to love it. Because I remember I was the only one that loved it out of the family, and everybody else was like, it was cool, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, I would love that. I have that book, and I have another one that's actually, I got it. I don't even know where I got it. I think I got it just some kind of like off the road, like stop, on a road trip or something. But it's this book, and it's just like, it's like it's almost like, I don't know what they called it in the actual book. They called it like artifacts, and it's like all these different like pages from like his like songs he's written, or pictures, or his diploma and stuff like that. And it's like in this book that I have, so it's really kind of cool to look through that.
Yeah, music history to me is one of those things where it's like, I'm never gonna stop learning about it, just because it doesn't have to be country music. It can be any music in general, because it's just like, no matter what type of music you listen to, there's always a story. And most of the times, 95%, there comes a depressing story about why this person decided to pursue music history. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Peyton, I'm going to play real quick, Jail and Jesus. Kind of before I play this, when is the single going to be released? Because it says it's coming
April
soon.
15th.
Okay, April 15th. Okay,
yeah, April 15th.
All right, here we go. Here is a little bit of this.
10 years in med cell, between heaven and hell, caught between jail and Jesus.
Okay, so can you hear that, Peyton? You hear that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So a song that was based around an interview that happened with Johnny Cash, that makes the song even cooler, I think, in my perspective.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to putting it out, because we kind of just took that little thing that he said about his life and just kind of applied it to my life and people's lives that I know, and just kind of applied it to an idea of everyone kind of battles those demons within them, and just kind of seeing how that plays out when, sometimes that gets the best of you. You know what I mean?
Would you say that's the most personal song you've put out?
Yeah, once it's out, it'll definitely be the most personal one I've ever put out.
Did you ever think twice about putting it out because A, it's too personal, or B, it's kind of a strong subject?
Yeah, I actually, it was supposed to be on my EP that I released back in February, but I kind of wanted some time to process it, and also give it kind of its own release date instead of releasing it on the EP as a package. I kind of wanted to release it just as a single, as a standalone. But I also kind of wanted some time to be like, all right, should I really like put this out? Like, thinking about it. But yeah, so I did. I took a little bit to think about what I wanted to do with it.
What's the genesis of Payton Howie? Where did you come from? Where did you start your music journey?
So I was originally born and raised out in Southern California. And that's kind of where my little classic rock influence kind of comes in on my country sound. And then I would say maybe about 2 years ago, my family moved up to Texas. And so I spent a lot of time out here playing shows, and there is just an insane music scene out here. And it's been awesome to get to be out here and meeting everybody and playing shows. But then last year I got a place out in Nashville. So I've been spending some time. I live out there part-time, but I've been going back and forth to Nashville since I was about 15. So, I love getting to be in Nashville as well. It's like just the artistry and just the whole vibe of everyone there creating constantly. It's the coolest thing to get to be out there. So I split my time between Texas and Tennessee.
So up
But that's
between,
kind of what I've been doing, and country rock is kind of my style.
so you're saying 2020, you guys moved from Southern California to Texas, correct?
Yes.
Okay. This leads to another good question that I think is kind of very interesting. So in Southern California, is there a lot of country music being played? Because California seems like it would be like the top 100 or the rock stations.
Yeah, I mean, there is a decent country rock California country scene
Okay.
out in California. There really is. And I have a couple friends that are in there, doing the California country thing. And I will say it's not the same as, say, Nashville country, and it's not even close to, say, Texas country, but it is California country, and there is a scene for it out there. But it is kind of a rare thing, because I know, at least for me, like when I was growing up in my hometown playing shows, I was kind of one of the only people out there playing country music. Everyone else was playing country, or not country, playing rock and playing like blues and jazz and all that stuff, or obviously, top 100, but country was I was one of the only people doing that really in my hometown. But there definitely is a scene for it out there. So if you're out in California and you're looking for a California country scene, it's there. You just got to look for it.
Okay, but you were the only one playing country music. Did that make you stand out, or did that make people shun you?
No, everyone was really accepting. It was funny because I think growing up, that was one of the things that I heard the most, and I'd be playing shows is, I'm not a huge fan of country, but I like you.
That has to be, now when somebody tells you that, kind of what happens in your mind? Because, like, how do you take that? Because it could be a respect thing, but it could also be like, I don't really know. But when somebody tells you that, how do you take it? Like, kind of what's your process?
Well, I appreciate it. I hear it as positive, like, because
Right.
and I get it. I get some people don't like country music, and that's okay. Like, there's some genres that I'm not a huge fan of, although I pretty much like every genre. But there's some that I'm like, hey, I'm not a huge this or that fan. But like, if someone says to me, I'm not a huge country fan, but I like you, I'd be like, hey, I'm cool with that, because I do like to put my own little rock twist on my country music. And that's like kind of my style. So I mean, I appreciate it if somebody says that to me.
I've always loved when people, for example, pop country or bro country, whatever you want to call it, rock country, whatever. I kind of enjoy that because let's just say if like Dan and Shay, for example, they're getting a lot of shit for some reason that I don't understand. But let's take Dan and Shay, they go over to the top 100 charts and they chart, and they, they're massive over there. That's a big deal for country music, because that makes people say, oh, wow, this is country music. Let me go over there and figure out what else there is to get into.
Yeah, totally. And I think I mean, I'm never gonna be a hater on somebody if they're super into the pop country thing. It may not be something that I like, like it may not be what I want to sing, but there's some good pop country songs out there, and like good I don't even know what you'd call it, like alternative country music that people have put out that's like, kind of a
Sure.
spin off of the country genre. And I think that's totally cool, as long as we still have some country that's traditional sounding, and we still
Sure.
have some country that's like, where we're respecting the greats and respecting the traditional country sound. As long as we're doing that and not completely throwing, traditional country out the window, I'm totally fine with. We can do whatever you want. It's music is art, and people create it and make it sound how they want.
So when you were growing up in California listening to classic rock, which is, other than country, that's probably my favorite genre, like the 70s and the 80s, man, that's like my jam. So what were some of your favorite classic rock bands growing up, even today? Hello, we there? Hello, are we there? Let's see. Oh,
I think I lost you.
okay. Okay, we're good.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Don't worry about that. I'll edit all that out of the podcast. So
Okay, no
so
worries.
we're good. So
You froze for a second there. I was like, oh, where'd he go?
okay. So when you were growing up in California, you were listening to classic rock. What were some of your favorite classic rock bands, even today, that you listen to?
I love like AC/DC,
Yeah.
Aerosmith, Journey, Tom Petty. That's kind of like I love all that. Like I think that's just awesome, And even if it's not like even the super hard rock stuff, like I'm down for that too. I love it all.
Aerosmith for a while, and it pains me to say this, Payton, pains me. Aerosmith for a while was my favorite band to ever, I thought, that ever graced this damn earth. But then I saw Kiss in concert, and I thought, oh my Jesus. I said, I think Kiss may have beaten out Aerosmith a little bit, but Aerosmith.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, it was, oh man. If you haven't, it's like, I've never been to a Garth Brooks concert, but I consider Kiss and Garth Brooks, because they were both saying that they're on the same level. It's like, if you've been to Garth Brooks concert, you thought that was the greatest. Imagine going to a Kiss concert, think it was the greatest for rock, But the Aerosmith thing, and I want to get your opinion on this. What era of Aerosmith do you find to be the greatest era of Aerosmith?
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know if I could pick one, because I feel like as an artist, everybody, or as a band, like everyone kind of evolves, and everyone's always going to say that older stuff is better. The stuff that they blew up on is better. Everyone's going to say that. And I think to a certain extent, that's kind of true, because those are the songs that get stuck in your head. Those are the ones that you're hearing everyone sing along to. But I also kind of have a respect for, artists that put out songs that are like, further down the road that may not be as popular, but you can still hear kind of how they've evolved as an artist, and how they're kind of like still, making their mark on music in a way,
Yeah, it's, I disagree. I think their older stuff is great, but in '87, they put out one of my all-time favorite records, which was Permanent Vacation. And the reason that's my favorite Aerosmith album and era is because this was the first ever Aerosmith album that they did sober. And you figure out that once you're listening to it, and in fact, they are sober, there's no longer girls, drugs, alcohol. There's just rock and roll. And you realize, damn, they're still as good or possibly better than they were when because a lot of people, if you get on, what I've read, from rockers, is like, you think drugs and alcohol is what makes it. Like, if you get off of it, it's no longer going to give you this creative content. And I think for me, with that Aerosmith album, that proved all those people that say that wrong. Because they had Dude Looks Like a Lady, they had Angel on the album. It was massive for Aerosmith. And that was, and that's the reason I love that album so much, because it's like, these guys can still rock. They know what they're doing. All along, it was about music, not just girls and money,
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense, but it was a long twirl.
No, I totally get that. Yeah, that makes sense.
What's your favorite concert you've ever been to?
My favorite concert I've ever been to, that's hard.
Have you been to a lot, is what I should ask first.
I've been to quite a
Okay.
few concerts. I would say and it's funny because some of them I've been to some really cool concerts where I've been the opener. And so that's always really fun, is
Who were
getting
some
to
of
be
those?
there and kind of get to be like right up front stuff. Like I opened up for Billy Ray Cyrus, and I opened up for the band Perry.
Okay, hold
Chris
up, hold up,
Jansen, I've
hold
opened
up,
up for
hold up,
them.
hold up.
And so it's cool to get to like be there and see the show. So I've always loved that. And man, but if I had to say my best concert I've ever been to, it'd probably be a tie. When I was 5, I saw Carrie Underwood in concert. She was my very first concert ever, and she brought me up on stage. And that's probably tops all, right?
Sure.
That's probably my favorite, because it was awesome.
Well, I want to go back a little bit. You said you opened up for Billy Ray Cyrus. How did that happen? And what was that experience like? Because for me, growing up, I had a younger sister, so we were always watching Disney Channel. And that's where I first learned out who Billy Ray Cyrus was. I was 5, maybe. and my favorite at the time was Kenny Chesney and Blake Shelton. And seeing this Billy Ray Cyrus guy and then hearing a song and then going back and be like, wow, this guy was actually a country singer. Kind of what was it like opening up for Billy Ray Cyrus, who to me is considered a great.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool. He played a festival in my hometown where I grew up. So it was cool to get to see like just everybody coming out for this. It was huge. So it was really cool. And he just came out. I think he did a Folsom Prison cover too. So it was like, oh shoot, that was cool.
Well, he played Elvis in like a TV show he did for CMT a couple years back. So he must be like a giant Elvis fan.
He must be. I know. That's probably something you'd want to know.
The Billy Ray Cyrus story, his story is kind of crazy. He was bad on cocaine. And like one day he was just deciding, he was like, you know what? I just gonna get so cold turkey, just threw the coke out the window and continued on with his music career. And then he had Achy Breaky Heart, and it was, went on. It was what it is today, which is crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
So I want to know what is something that you learned recently that kind of like boggled your mind and you had to like, there's no way that's true. And you just had to go, do more research on it.
Oh, dang. I have no idea.
There has to be something. There's got to be something. You didn't see nothing on like the History Channel or something?
No, honestly, I can't think of anything. Just anything random. I have no idea. No.
I'll give you one. The fact here's what everybody's.
I don't know. I can't name one. I mean, honestly, I think the last thing that I Googled was to see the video of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, but that's the last thing I Googled probably.
What do you think about that?
I think it's probably staged.
Why? Why do you feel that? I really want to know, because I've heard people say it is. I heard people say it isn't, but I want to know, why do you think it's staged?
It looks staged. I just feel like it is. I don't know. I'm just like, honestly, like everything, you can't convince me you're not going to get a room full of actors and not have something staged, like, and what are the odds? Here's my thing. I took 4 years of film in, in school. So I mean, I kind of get like how hard it is to get the right angle, to get everything for like dramatic effect, to kind of get the full picture. It's not that easy. What are the odds that he walks up there to slap the guy and he gets the perfect shot? He gets the perfect shot and they just know exactly when to switch the cameras over. Like, it's staged. You can't convince me it's not staged, honestly. Like,
right. Well, I'm not too sure. I thought it was at first, and then they realized and they come out and said that, hey, it's not, I thought it was going to be a giant April Fool's joke. And everybody's going to come out, April Fools, we did it. And be like, wow, you actually got me. But now that like the Oscars are thinking about, they've banned Will Smith, his movies are no longer going to be required to be in the show. Now it's kind of like, oh, this shit is like real. Like, but to answer your question about people were saying, why weren't security guards there? Because you don't expect Will Smith to go up there and attack one of his best friends. That's my point. It was like, sure, the security wasn't there because they weren't worried. It was fucking Will Smith. It'd been different if it was Billy Joe that worked at Walmart, coming up on stage to attack Chris Rock. I don't know about I don't take film school, but I don't know. I don't know if they would come out and say it was staged. I probably wouldn't be as shocked as some people, because it has crossed my mind. But I don't know. It's one of those things where
I definitely think it was. I definitely think it was, considering the fact that I definitely think it was, considering the fact that everyone knows that the ratings of the Grammys have been kind of low.
Okay.
Everyone knows that the ratings have not been that high. And so they had to do something, right?
But they did that at the end of the show. If they wanted ratings, wouldn't they have done it at the beginning? That's the whole point. That's
well, but either way, everyone's researching it and talking about it now, aren't they?
yeah, but it was still the second lowest rated Oscars show in history. So it really didn't do that much for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
honestly.
know. I feel like it's got to be staged. Like, you can't tell me that, like, I don't know. What are the odds? What are the odds? Like, what are the odds that they get all the right shots to make it look good? Like, they zoom in on his face, then they look back at him, then they look at him again, then they go.
Okay, so I lost you a little bit, but I got pretty much of what you were saying. I will agree to disagree, but if it does come out that it was staged,
All right, for sure.
I'm not gonna be as shocked as many people, because it did. To say it didn't cross my mind would be a lie, because it did, because they're actors. Chris Rock's a comedian. What do you expect? You know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, everything there is staged. It's all fake. Like, everything is fake there. So it's like,
Yeah. So what was the inspiration to take film in college?
Well, I actually took film in high school. I took
Okay.
4 years of film.
Okay.
Like film appreciation and like just kind of film directing and stuff like that, and learning how to edit and all that stuff. And it's helped a lot. I mean, honestly, the inspiration behind it was, I mean, just because I thought it sounded like a good thing I wanted to do and just sounded fun. But it's helped a lot, like editing videos and, you know, kind of learning more about film and kind of what the consumer wants to see just in general when you look at movies on the big screen, even to like film projects. It's helped a lot with, you know, even my social media videos. Like, I've know how to edit and do all that stuff. So it's kind of fun to get to do that.
I recently started to edit the podcast videos because they go up on YouTube. I never knew a headache until I started editing videos like those, because it can be a big headache. Like, you know, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
So kind of as we wind down here, I kind of want to do a quick off the head thing. I say a question, you answer it with the first thing that pops to your head. How about that? Sound okay?
Okay.
One thing you can't live without.
My guitar.
A guitar. What kind of guitar do you have?
It's Martin.
To Martin. You know, I started at when I started playing guitar, I don't know, I had to be 8 or 9. And I wonder if this is true to you, if this is, you know, because you obviously you're self-taught, but I imagine you did research before self-teaching yourself. I wonder, I was taught that the electric guitar was easier to learn how to play the guitar with. Is that kind of what did you come upon any of that?
I think it might be, because I mean, I mean, depending on the guitar, the neck could be smaller, and obviously, like, it's easier to kind of like, you know, bend the strings and stuff like that. Whereas an acoustic guitar, you know, it's kind of like it's a little bit harder to bend the strings and is. But I mean, honestly, an electric guitar is probably going to be, depending on the guitar you get, a little bit more expensive, and also it's like, you know, you gotta have an amp and all that stuff. But I mean, I kind of, the first guitar I ever got was an electric guitar. I got it for my birthday. But I learned on an acoustic guitar because I started learning, and I had a friend's guitar and I was just learning on that one.
What's one type of food that you have to have in your house at all times, or you just like can't have one, you have to have enough of it?
Peanut butter.
Chunky or creamy?
Creamy.
Creamy. Oh my goodness.
Peanut butter is the best. Peanut butter is good for everything.
So are you type of person that puts like peanut butter on like a waffle or like a Pop-Tart or stuff like that? The weirdos, peanut butter people?
Have you ever put peanut butter on a pickle?
No, I no.
Try it. You can't knock it until you try it.
Peanut butter on a pickle?
You just have to try it. I swear by it.
So so I have to dip the pickle in the peanut butter? Wouldn't that ruin the whole jar of peanut butter?
Well, no, it's kind of difficult. You have to get a knife. or spoon, and you have to put it on there.
Okay.
Just trust.
Any specific
it's
pickle?
awesome. Honestly, no. I've found that it kind of varies depending on what you like, but no, I don't think it matters.
Okay. What is the one quote that you live by in your life? Quote or quotes?
Man, I don't know if it's necessarily a quote, but I guess that jailed Jesus thing that I read in that book has just been stuck in my mind since I read it, and just kind of thinking about that, and that concept has always kind of just been on my mind ever since I read that. So that's kind of like been something that I hold near and dear to my heart since I've read it.
What's one movie quote that you know by heart?
The Grinch.
Oh God.
When he's like,
now we talking
like, I know, like I could literally quote you the Grinch, like word for word.
the Jim
you know?
Carrey Grinch or the newest cartoon that they did with that Benedict
No,
Cumberbatch?
the Jim Carrey Grinch, the good one.
The good one, the bad one.
I'm not necessarily that it's bad, but I haven't seen it. And plus, the Jim Carrey one has everything funny that he says. So
I am such a Jim Carrey connoisseur that when I first watched The Grinch, I remember thinking, "Wow, this is great." But then when you watch it, you're kind of like, "This is nothing like The Grinch at all." It's like they reimagined it to be this. I don't know, but what part of The Grinch is your favorite quote though? I know you can quote the whole movie. I know you can quote the whole movie. I love the
part where he's going through his daily schedule.
Oh yeah, where he's like
dinner with me. I can't cancel
skip that again.
I think it's so funny.
Did you know that in The Grinch that there's a scene where he pulls the tablecloth off the table, and in the script the dishes were supposed to fall, but Jim Carrey did it perfectly and went over there and swiped everything just to make it funny.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
Okay, you're on a desert island, Payton. For some reason, there's a stereo there, and you have one album to take with you and listen to until you get rescued. It could be a day, it could be a year. What's that one album you're bringing to that desert island?
That's hard. I'm gonna say either Carrie Underwood's Some Hearts album, because that's by far one of my favorite albums ever.
Okay.
Or I'm gonna say Gretchen Wilson's album with Here for the Party on it.
Wow, that's a throwback. I haven't heard of Gretchen Wilson in a long time.
Yeah.
Now, did you see Carrie Underwood's putting out a new album like next month or something like that?
I was listening to it last night, or not it, but the title track.
Now, I disagree with a lot of people about Carrie Underwood's albums. I think her albums, they started out good and then they just went to but when she released Storyteller, I thought that was her absolute best work she's ever done.
I definitely, I think, I mean, honestly, there's little things that I like about each album that she's put out. I would say I have my favorites on each album. So, but I definitely think Some Hearts was my favorite for sure.
Okay. You get hit by a train or a bus. You've got 5 minutes to live. And 5 minutes, you can't talk, but for some reason you can sing. What's that one song you're going to sing that's going to describe your story?
Oh my goodness. The one song I'm going to sing on the last 5 minutes of my life
is Where Are You Christmas by Faith Hill from The Grinch.
No, absolutely not. No, it's going to be, oh my God, it's going to be You Never Even Call Me By Your Name, David Allan Coe.
Oh, damn. Do you know who I'm in talks to get on the podcast, because I never knew this guy sang, and it's Jesse Keith Whitley. Keith Whitley's son. And he sounds just like his father. And it brought me back to when hearing, 10 feet away. It was love 10 feet away. And I was like, this guy is actually killing this Keith Whitley cover. Like it's amazing to me how kids of artists or musicians can go on to do crazy famous things and you not even know who they are or that they even exist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's crazy.
What do you consider to be the greatest TV show to ever be created?
Oh goodness, I have no idea. I'm a huge I love Friends.
Okay.
I love Friends. I think that's probably got to be my favorite.
Now, somebody that always says they love Friends, we got to have the conversation. Were Ross and Rachel on a break?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say here's my opinion.
Okay.
If I was in that situation, yes, they were on a break. They were on a break. They really
Case
were.
solved. Case
But-
solved. No more explanation needed. No, I'm joking.
But like, okay,
I'm
but
joking.
think about it from this perspective.
Okay,
like,
sure.
if you're
Go
in
ahead.
a relationship with somebody and you really love them, but you take a break, like even for like a few hours or for a day, are you immediately gonna go get with somebody else? Like, that's still like, okay, we were on a break, but like, ouch, like that's kind of how I look at it.
No, I agree. What Ross did was wrong, but were they on a break technically? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, technically, I would say.
Technically, yes. They said, hey, we need to see it. However the conversation happened, Rachel brought it up, yada, yada, yada. It's like, hey, we're on a break. Ross had no right. I mean, I guess he did have a right, but there was no reason for him to go sleep with someone just to do it, just to make her jealous. I assume that's what he was doing it for. So
Probably, yeah.
I'm there with you that yes, it is. They were on a break, but it was wrong for Ross to do that.
Agreed.
Now, did you see that Chandler, the Matthew Perry guy's got a book coming out? It's like a tell-all memoir.
Oh no, I did not.
And he's
I'll
like,
have to check that out.
he's like hating on the Friends people. Like,
Oh,
it's
that sucks.
crazy. No, it's not, because I love that. I hate drama, but when it comes to drama, like in Hollywood, for some reason, you're more enthralled in that than drama in regular life. That makes sense.
Honestly, yeah, I'll have to check that out. I had no idea there was drama. I just thought it was one big happy family.
I did too, but I hope when he releases the book, it's not just a one chapter thing. Oh, they did this and this, and then it's the rest of this bullcrap life he lived. I want it to be a full on, you're going to tell me the ins and outs of what happened in Friends, and I want it to be exactly what I want it to be. But, because I got my hopes up with the Will Smith book, because I was like, oh man, he's going to learn all about Fresh Prince. It was like a chapter, and it was everything we knew. So it was like that.
Yeah.
So last couple of questions for you. One is, when you're doing interviews or podcasts or radio, any type of interview, what's one question you're going to get asked?
Usually people will always ask, they'll be like, oh, how did you get into music? Or who are some of your biggest inspirations?
And what's your answer to those questions? But when I say that, is it like a memorized thing of like, yes, I started in California, I did this, or is it kind of, you kind of change your tone a little bit?
Honestly, I don't like memorize it, because it just happened. It's factual. It's happened in my life. So I kind of just tell the story. It might be different from day to day, but not different story, but I might say it a different way from day to day. But yeah, I pretty much give the same answer. I'm usually like, oh, like I started teaching myself to play guitar. I started singing and writing songs, and then I'll kind of give off, like what I'm inspired by and all that. So it's typically the same answer. Yeah.
What's one question or one topic that you're never going to get asked about, but you're like, damn, I just wish they would ask me this today?
I absolutely don't have one. I've pretty much, like, because I've done a lot of podcasts or radio interviews even, and they pretty much will ask you just about anything.
There's not one thing where you're like, man, I'm going through something today. just talk to me about it.
No, I'm
No?
kind of an introverted person, and I'm not
Okay.
like I want to tell my whole life to the whole world.
I yeah,
That's not my thing at all.
me neither. I'm one of those that's like, hey, this is my business, not yours. But then I started a podcast and it kind of just haywired from there. How do you keep sane? Like, do you write a journal? Do you meditate?
No, I just kind of write songs and then just take some time to do things that make me happy, whether it's going for a drive or hanging out with friends. I kind of just take some time off from the things that are, getting to me. But it's kind of cool because like I do music full time as my job. And so it's like there's nothing else I'd rather be doing.
But when okay, let's take this for an example. You're using music for a job. When did it come from, man, I have to go to work, to I get to go to work?
Um, I don't know. I feel like it's always kind of been that way because growing up, like, I mean, I was young. And so when I started doing music, um, I was like, I enjoy it. I'm learning and it's something that it's a dream that I'm chasing. It's something I'm pursuing. And now that it's like, now that I've graduated college, it's like, it's my full-time job. It's what I do. And it's cool because like, now that, the people that are in my age group or say like my generation, they're, going to their, whatever it is, their job or like my brother, he's graduating college soon. And, he's, applying for jobs and figuring out what he wants to do. And I feel like I'm grateful that I get to do what I love. And I'm just lucky enough that I get to get paid to do what I love. And I literally like my job, like, when I go to work, it's literally like picking up a guitar and playing people's favorite songs or playing songs that I've written. Like that's the coolest thing.
But what's the downside of being a musician? Everybody talks about the ups, but what's the downs?
Honestly, I feel like it all kind of is relative to how you look at it because I'm to be honest with you, I'm kind of more of an optimistic person. Like even if like for example, say I'm playing guitar so much, I've played whatever, say I've played 20 hours of guitar this week and my fingers are killing me and I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, like, whatever. I'm like then I have to kind of remind myself like I'm literally getting to sit here and do what my favorite thing in the world and get paid for it. Like there's not many people in the world that get to do what they love and it's their job. Like so I'm just have to remind myself to be grateful sometimes when I'm tired, but I'm always like pretty optimistic about what I get to do.
What does it feel like to get to say that this thing that I love, I get to get paid doing it? Because I use Mark Cuban's quote a lot, and I say this all the time on the podcast, and it's like, if you're take a person and this person is killing themselves day in and day out to make something work, and they're not making any type of money, imagine their thought process and their dignity when they start making money doing that same thing.
Yeah, honestly, like for me, I mean, it's kind of blows my mind to get to say that. Just like it feels kind of weird to think like that people are, they have an app, Spotify for artists, and you can see live people who are listening to your music. And obviously, Spotify pays people, pays artists for the amounts of streams that they get. And it's like interesting to think that I get to tell a story about my life or something that I'm feeling, record it in a studio, put it out on a streaming platform, and people listen to it. And I get paid for people to listen to the things that I've written about. Like that blows my mind. Or just even the fact that people want to listen to it is cool to me.
What I don't want to know the most, what's the least amount of money you've made besides $0 on Spotify? Because podcasters do the same thing. They kind of get paid, how much streams they've had. So I'll share mine when you share yours. How much least have you made besides $0?
Well, I think it's kind of relative because you have a payout period.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like you have a payout period. So it's not like the least amount of money. It's kind of just like you have to wait a certain amount of
Right.
time until it reaches that payout period.
Right. It's kind of like I'm trying to how to of not dumb it down. I don't want to use that word, but kind of humanize it into regular people listening. It's like, take an example. It's kind of like you can't cash out until you get $10, $20, $30. It's kind of along those lines, just on a different scale, pretty much.
Yeah, that's it.
I remember one time when I first started the podcast, people were like, "Oh man, you're killing it because you're getting these people." But you'd look at my bank account, I would get like 15 cents. I got 15 cents a month one time. And I was like, this is fucking killing me. It's like, it's killing you, but it's like, you love that it's killing you. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah.
Like, but look, we're all young. We're all gonna be okay. That's the way I look at it.
For sure.
Well, Payton, look, thanks for joining the worst interview you've ever had on the podcast here.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I've taken almost an hour of your time. Go ahead and take as much time as you need to promote and shout out anything you want to give.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to interview and just like chat with me. It's been super cool. My name's Payton Howie, and I have social media at Payton Howie Music, PaytonHowie. And I have, all my tour listings and merchandise on my website, PaytonHowie.com.
So you have merchandise. How does an independent artist do merchandise? That's a question I never get into, but you brought that up and it kind of sparked a wire in me. How does an independent artist do merchandise?
It's all relative. Like I have friends that do it through different companies, or like there's shirt companies where you just order, whether it's shirts or hats or stickers or koozies or whatever it is. There's places you can go, like anyone can do it. You can just get on there and just kind of have, whether you have someone graphic design your stuff, or you just design it yourself. It's just kind of a matter of, you can just kind of research whatever it is you're looking for.
Have you seen a spike in your music stream since TikTok?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. TikTok is one of those that everybody sees a spike in. Just even if
it's been really cool to get to see that.
Even if you just have social media, you can link the social media links to like the TikTok, and it's like you can see the activity, how many people seeing your stuff. It's crazy. But
it is really cool.
Payton, I will let you go, but I do appreciate you joining on the podcast. Also, if anything that was said here or whatever needs to be edited out, I always give people the chance. You don't have to do it now, but later if you think, oh man, I should have said that, just have your people hit me up or whatever, and we'll take it out.
No worries. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Payton. Have a good one.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Bye.